So I've always wanted to do this, okay? And I used to do this. So in FIFA 98, I think you could create your own England squad. And I tried to make an England squad out of pure black players, and it was tough, but we did it. Joe Chum had to start up front.
Oh wow,
it was tough.
Julian Joseph.
We're just gonna go for a front three, all-time Premier League black front three. Who are you going for? I feel like I want to start, but I don't want to ruin it and inspire anybody's thoughts. I want original thoughts, and I'll go last.
Ian Wright.
Definitely, yeah, cool.
Andy Cole.
Interesting. Okay.
And
this is the Dope Black Dad podcast. My name is Marvin Harrison. I'm here today with Samantha Johnson, who's a broadcaster and journalist. I'm here with Jordan Bryan, Jarrett Bryan. Sorry, I forgot your what's the thing when you had another name in there when you got too many names? What do you call that?
Hyphenated surname. Jordan Jarrett Bryan is the name.
I was just going to call it extra. Okay, cool. So we got Jordan Jarrett Bryan with us today. Yeah, he's a journalist on Channel 4 and also on TalkSport. And we also have former Middlesbrough, Swansea, Bristol City and Reading football player Leroy Lita with us also, who's holding his amazing baby who's sleeping and
No, she's awake.
Wow.
I laid us.
That's high level parenting you got going on there. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not that confident just to put a baby on the Zoom.
Yeah, she's calm. She's calm.
Amazing. She's a week old, I understand, right?
Yeah, only a week.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
We're gonna add you to Dope Black Dads after this. All right, we got you. We got you all covered. So thank you all for joining me. I really want to have a conversation about the state of football and where we are today and what powerfully could be done to move forward. We know that the game has kind of been put in a stop. It's halted to a stop very, very quickly. There hasn't been much planning in place. There's not a lot of information or clarity in terms of what we can do next. There's about 15 different scenarios and probably about 1,000 different variables in terms of what we could do next. I suppose I'd like to just start in terms of restarting the league, as that's probably the conversation that's on the table immediately. We know there's a meeting tomorrow with the Premier League to sit down with the government to figure out a plan. Based on what you understand today, how do you feel about the idea starting the league? We know that there's just been another case, I think 3 cases announced at Brighton. And then there's some more cases across Europe, across, I think, Dresden and La Liga's announced 3 more. What's your thoughts in terms of restarting? I'll start with Jordan.
Well, my stance on this is that I don't think there should be a restart. I'll go with that to start off with. I'm also in the camp that believes you have to cancel the league. I think there are problems with that, but I think that we're in the space now of what is the lesser of the 2 evils. I think there's going to be no fair outcome here, whatever. There's going to be losers, whatever you decide to do. So I think that cancelling the season provides the minimal amount of issues and possible legal action.
In what way? Why that one specifically?
I think if you cancel the season, there's less teams annoyed. And there's less teams that will try and take the Premier League to court. I think if you try and finish the season and if you have a second wave of cases, which I think is likely to happen, and you know somebody gets infected and possibly dies, there's the neutral ground thing isn't ideal, but I think there's a massive disadvantage for teams at the bottom of the table that haven't had a chance to play certain teams at home where some of their rivals might have. And I accept that there's no ideal scenario here, and we're in that famous word, unprecedented times here. But I just feel by drawing a line under it and saying, listen, if we're going to really get back on track in the future, we have to now plan and get to a place where when football does resume, it's safe, and we're more confident that the chances of it reoccurring are minimal. And at this stage here right now, I don't think that's the situation. So even if you are going to resume the season and complete it, I don't think now is the time to do that anyway. So I'm firmly in the camp of, I think that you have to cancel the season. Personally, that feels to me of the lesser of the 2 evils with the information that I have. Regarding tomorrow's meeting, sorry to cut you there. Regarding tomorrow's meeting, I'm getting different information from different people I know within the Premier League. Some are saying that they're going to try and plough through it regardless. If Boris Johnson's announcement later today says that the government feel it's safe for the Premier League to resume, I've got some people in some camp that are saying that will be enough to make them decide we are going to finish the season. The government is saying it's safe. We say it's safe. We're going ahead. I've got other people in and around the Premier League that are saying, well, it just takes one club to say, well, we ain't playing. It just takes a handful of high-profile players to say, well, we ain't playing. And if you've got one team that's not playing, you can't finish the season. So there doesn't seem to be any kind of coherent or strident view as to what people are projecting is going to come out of this meeting. The Premier League are desperate to finish the season for economic reasons. They know they're scared shitless. If they don't finish this league, BT and Sky and all the broadcasters are going to be on their neck. So the Premier League don't care if every game between now and the end is 0-0 with kids playing and the quality is awful. Yeah. All they care about is just finish the season because they've delivered our product.
Sam, what's your thoughts? And is there a difference, because you're based in Istanbul, is there a different sentiment or energy around the league starting in the Turkish league?
Yeah, definitely, because it was announced last week that the Turkish Super League would actually come back or resume next month. This doesn't surprise me because the Turkish Super League was one of the last leagues in Europe to stop playing. Another reason why I think they're resuming as well, financial, obviously, but it's a big year for the country and for Istanbul because the city is also hosting the Champions League final. Now, if the TFF, so if the Turkish Football Federation say that, you know what, we can't resume the league, we're not, you know, we can't uphold our end of the bargain in terms of safety or whatever, then how does that look to UEFA? They're going to have to say, well, we're going to have to pull it away from you, and that's not going to happen. So again, that doesn't surprise me that the league has come back. I think I don't have a strong opinion like Jordan, but I do feel like if everybody is happy and if all parties involved are happy about going back to play, then fine, that's on them. But the virus is still out there. There's no cure for it. It's risky, and I don't know if I could put myself in that risk. I mean, at work, at my place, my boss suggested something. He said, "Oh, I think we should, you know, probably get out and about and, you know, I don't know, film by the Bosphorus." And I said, "You know what? I'm not actually happy about it. I'm not right now. I don't feel 100%." And, you know, I'm still doing my job. I'm still broadcasting from home, but that's in the back of my mind. So I do wonder how players feel about playing. I know some are very keen to get back to it, and some might think, you know what, family's more important. But at the end of the day, this is their jobs. I mean, Leroy, you can, you know, fill in the blanks here.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you on board.
Yeah, I don't know how players feel about it, but can you guarantee anybody's safety right now? Not just football, with anybody in any line of work, can you guarantee their safety? You can't.
Yeah.
And at the core of this pandemic, social distancing has been key. You can't social distance or do practice social distancing in contact sports. It's just something at the back of your mind. You just, I don't know how you can play knowing that there's that big risk.
Yeah. Leroy, you're representing the players' union on this one. How would you feel, based on the information that you've seen? Would you want to play, or have you heard from other players in terms of getting back into the game and how they feel about it?
Yeah, I've spoke to a few players, and a lot of players do not want to go back. They want it to finish because they're human too. And I know there's a lot of money involved. This is the problem. That's what's going to force it. But they are human, they are families, they are people. And I think it's right. If there's this a big problem out there, we need to make sure everyone's blessed. It doesn't matter what you do, or what you have, or what you earn. People need to be, you know, with their families and healthy. So the players I spoke to, I won't say their names because they'll get in trouble. They basically saying everyone in the change room, but they're being told they're going to try and get it back as soon as they can. But there's still a problem out there. And how are you going to play football without contact? It's impossible. It's not football. We're going to have social distancing football. What is that? So I think personally as well, I think it's right that it's ended and we get this problem over with, and then, you know, try and get life back.
Yeah.
I'm really keen to see how. I spoke to a few players as well, who, as Leroy said, they don't want to come back, and some of them I've spoken to are adamant they're not coming back until they've got better assurances. I'm really keen to see how firm they stand to that view, because the players here have the power. It's not the Premier League or the leagues or the broadcasters. The players here have the power.
Jordan, they don't. Jordan, they don't. They don't.
Hold on a sec. Doesn't this affect the money? Like, if they don't play, then their money stops.
Jordan, their contract.
But you know what? If I'm Sergio Aguero on 300 bags a week, I cannot get paid for 6 months, and I'm okay.
How do you know that? How do you know that?
That depends on what you're spending.
Exactly. How do you know that? You don't know that.
Everything's
true. That is true.
Leroy, just very quickly, because Darren Bent, who was actually hoping to get on this as well, but Darren Bent, he mentioned on TalkSport this idea that the amount of money that footballers earn is always being sort of fantasized about and sort of used as a weapon in terms of how people should behave and what they should do. In terms of just planning and the sort of how football money works, is it as insane as we think it is? How are players rationing their salaries, or how important is those salaries going forward? Because I think everyone thinks that, yes, you get £300,000 a week, you don't need to consider money ever again, let alone in the 6 months here.
It's really bad that they report it like that. They forget tax. Footballers' tax is nearly 50%.
That's true.
So, and it's never what's written in the paper, and that's all people see, right? So you don't know how that person lives their life as well. You don't know what a young player will get on big money straight away. He might get a mortgage loan for 5 years. If you stop his money now, he's probably bought a £4 million house or something like that. So he won't be able to play. Jordan said about player power. They don't have the power. Why? If you think if they had the power, they won't come out. One of them say, right, we've all agreed we don't want. Not one person. Do you understand? Not one person's done that. So there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that.
You could be right. You could be right, Leroy. But my thing is that if there's enough players that say, I've got a 85-year-old mother, I've got a partner and a wife who's got underlying health issues, and I've got two kids.
Yeah.
Okay. Pitney. And sorry. I got two youths. I got two kids. Sorry, I got two kids.
Yeah.
I can do that here. I can't do it on Channel 4. And you know, if I've got that situation going on, I'm not comfortable coming back into an environment where I think the players are comfortable that they will be fine. They're young and they're fit. Generally, I think they'll be fine. They're more concerned about their families. If I'm concerned that I could bring that back to my elderly mother or father and my partner, you know what? I don't see any court in the land, and I refuse to play on the basis that the working environment is not safe. I don't think any court in the land is going to take the side of a club trying to force me to my contract to play and work. Let's not forget, it's work in an environment that I deem unsafe. Mm-hmm. So I reckon that's why they have got the power on this time.
Can I just ask, where does this narrative
aren't the Premier League proposing that the players are staying in hotels, like they're kept away from their families for, I don't know, a certain amount of weeks, and they're going to be tested? I think they're spending what?
But Sam, some people, that will affect their performance, and you take people away from their family. As a player, I didn't mind being them out, but I play with players who, when their family are away, you see the difference. And so there's loads of things to go into. And would you risk that anyway? But you don't know
I'm not saying I would risk it. I'm just saying that, okay, the Premier League are going through hell and high water to make sure that they have every procedure, every safety measure going. I think that's my problem. I'm very much a devil's advocate. I can see things from both sides. Me personally, safety first and family first. But what we've just discussed at the root of it is it's a business and it's a money, and there's a lot of money. There's billions at stake here, and that's what's driving everything.
Sam, with that though, would you not rather them use that energy to get society safe?
I would. I would, because when I said that, the Premier League.
Let's forget. We know it's all about money.
They should give it to the public.
Yeah.
But for some reason, football exists in this bubble.
Is that a bit of a...
one of the biggest exports or the best exports of the UK. They're going to... Yeah.
Is that definitely a bit of a fantasy in terms of... And I think I did a podcast on this last week about where money should go. So sometimes when people say there's billionaires, we did a podcast on billionaires. They were like, billionaires, they have too much money. They should give 90% of it away, 900 million away to the public. It's like, but no one has a liquid billion just sitting there to be distributed. And so the value of things is $1 billion, but most of that is already spent before it's even been calculated. So is it a genuine thing to believe that football can play a much greater role in terms of where does this narrative come from? Where is the kind of underlying undertone of football players are to blame for everything? Where do you think that's come from?
It's jealousy, and it's the demonizing of working class young men.
Correct.
It's working class young men that have come from invariably nothing to becoming uber wealthy, and some people don't like it. They can't take it. It's a combination of jealousy. Jealousy, as far as I'm concerned, is a human trait. We all have jealousy. It's just levels of how jealous you are. But it's also the demonizing of, because no one's saying this about rugby players, or comedians,
or cricketers,
or politicians, or bankers. They earn more than footballers. But what separates footballers from everybody else who's wealthy
Footballers are an easier target because they won't, maybe they will now, but in the past they haven't really spoken up and said anything. They've just gotten on.
So who controls the narrative of footballers? Why is it so badly being represented? Why is there so much negative headlines? The game itself has got some, and then the players have got loads. Who's supposed to be controlling the narrative? Who's to blame for that?
Well, who controls that? The media control that. You know what I mean? When they talk about players, it's never. You never hear a story about a tennis player doing this or cricket. Cricket's a rich man's sport, right? So is tennis. So a lot of players and rugby.
I think every sport. Sorry to cut you off, but with every sport there is someone deemed a bad boy. So with tennis, for example, Nick Kyrgios, he's seen as the bad boy because he
comes from nothing as well.
Whatever. But there you go. I mean, I like him. I don't mind. I think he's brilliant. But I do think footballers are an easier target. But within each sport, if there's someone that doesn't go with the grain, they're automatically seen as the bad person or the bad boy.
Yeah,
but no, I totally get where you're coming from, Leroy.
Just to push back a little bit on Leroy's point about the media being the ones that control the narrative.
Don't get offended.
No, I'm not.
Your fault. It's you.
I'm going to defend the media in here a little bit. Whilst that's not in itself untrue, the media will generally will dictate what they do by public. So if the public weren't interested in footballers, the media wouldn't give it attention. Yeah. So the public have a role to play in this as well. Yeah. If nobody in the country cared about footballers, the
that's
media
never
would not
happen,
give it.
Is it?
No, but it's chicken and egg. Which came first?
But why is it the problem of the PFA, the Premier League, and the FA to control the narrative about the game, which ultimately they all profit from and they're supposed to be representing? Why are they not coming together, creating a consistent communication about what the players are doing, what the clubs are doing, and what the game is doing to, one, preserve itself, to support the national interest, but also look after its players and its members? Why is that narrative not coming from those three organisations?
Because everybody's still getting paid.
There are three, you just said it, there are three different organisations.
They're not together. So
exactly, they don't work together. There's too many self-interests. Again, comes down to money, power, ego, I don't know, but they're not all working together. I don't know if you've read Rory Smith's column in New York Times.
No.
And going on from what you sent us about what Gary Neville said about,
Yes.
Yeah, about the Premier League, possibly funding other leagues below them. This is a great chance or a great time for actually everybody to come together. We're all going through the same thing. We're all affected by this pandemic. Will football actually come together? By the looks of it, probably not, because there's a lot of self-interest when it comes to the Premier League, rightly or wrongly. If you're at the top of the league, okay, you're going to get into the Champions League spots, you're going to win the league. That's fine. You're still going to get money. But what about if you drop out of the Premier League? What about, relegation? You're going to lose money and then people aren't happy. You're going to have infighting. So imagine that's with the 20 clubs. What about, okay, the FA, the Premier League, the PFA, everybody's fighting for their own interest. And
in your opinion, out of the Premier League, the FA and the PFA, who has the most power and influence?
Premier League by far.
Premier League.
Yeah.
By far.
PFA is just the players.
Yeah.
That's just for the players, and they're not even any good for the players. So the Premier League, they're the boss.
So we know. Dave Kitson is looking to become PFA chairman going forward. The PFA have been particularly mute or ineffective in this time anyway. What are your thoughts on him becoming PFA? Would you like him to represent you, Leroy? I know you played with him for 4 years.
I spoke to him. You got to give him his chance. I said, you need to when you go and speak to me, you need to be real and tell him what the Raheem comments were really about. And he didn't do that. So I'm against it now. So for him,
what do you mean by what they were really about?
Well, he was trying to defend what he said about, you know, it was race related, the comments, because I've been a player where I'll have something or I'll buy a nice car and I'll have a coach say to me, "Oh, why did you buy that?" I was like, "There's 2 other players in the team with it. Like you want to approach me." So I already know that, yeah. But when he said them comments and then everybody went on his Instagram talking about being flash, and he done exactly the same thing. Basically, people don't like young black men with nice things. That's facts. Until someone actually comes out and says that, we can say it, and everyone else can be like, "Oh, it's not really like that. We know it is." So, and that's he didn't do that. His comments were, I think he even used me, didn't he? In his latest.
I think he did.
Talking about he defended me when the paper wanted to put my car in the front of the. Yeah, he said something like that.
Yeah,
so he was just saying, he's basically saying, I've got mates that are black.
I've got a black friend.
He did the classic thing of racism is unacceptable in all facets, but.
Yeah.
He did that thing. Do you know, I'm not racist, but
and I've got a black mate that I defended once. So
no time for that.
No.
Could he? Is there any chance that he could represent?
You know what? It wouldn't surprise me if he did, because
why'd you say that?
It wouldn't surprise me because the people in power there. Some I've been in FA hearings where I've been looking at red card or something like that, and the people in there are not football people. They'll put a face, one person that you'll know that's been in the game. The rest of them, they're these guys you've never seen in your life. And you're just sitting there thinking, they don't know me. Anyway, so it wouldn't be surprised if they put Dave Kitson up.
I'm conflicted because on half of me thinks that he might get it because it shows the lack of credible candidates that are in the mix anyway. But
I was going to say, who's in the mix?
If they let players vote, no chance.
Well, this is what I'm going to say. This is why I don't think you'll get it because if you're a white person and even white people aren't on your side, you know you're in trouble. Do you know what I mean? So,
but that's what. But who's the vote? Who's making the decision for it? If players vote, there's no chance.
The reason why,
anyway, shouldn't.
Do you feel there's a reason? The fact that he's been put to the forward. Sorry. Just the fact that he's been put forward as a credible candidate and been able to do a tour across the media. Do you feel that there's someone pushing that agenda anyway? Because if I said I was doing PFA chairman, I wouldn't get an interview.
That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets because it's gone this far. But it's got to be a player vote. But it's not going to be that. So he's got a chance. We know if it's a player's vote, he's got
the other
candidates.
No chance.
We don't know.
I've not heard anything. And that's actually another indication that something's not quite right. Just another one. So Kyle Walker was caught out, I think, on 2 occasions being out of his house. I think the first time he invited some friends over to help him throughout the evening, and then the second time
he had a sex party.
I was trying not to use the Sun headlines.
He had a sex party. It is what it is.
And I don't want to demonize sex parties. Anyway, so the whole point was...
Sam, that's not true, by the way.
In what way? What do you mean?
That's not what happened.
Okay, what happened?
No. We're journalists. What happened?
It's a safe space.
No. That's not what happened. That's not what happened.
Okay.
Please, let's leave it there. He's in a bad place now, so he's a married man, right? So
yeah. So
he's got to fix himself. So.
Absolutely, but then you're a perfect example of someone who could probably share any form of insight, either yourself or anybody in the teams that you've played in, just like what the psychological impact is or the warfare is of being a footballer. Because we're looking at Kyle Walker and being like, just because he has money and his team is doing well, he's expected to immediately have no faults, no problems, abide by every rule and just get on with it. Is there anything that you can give us insight into in terms of what it's like?
Personally, my mindset was do my job, live my life as normal as I can. But you can't. But I don't think about where I go or anything. But it's different. In my day, we didn't have social media. You can't go anywhere without someone taking a picture or seeing your car, seeing you somewhere. Boom, it's online. You can't deny it. So I don't know how I would deal with that. So and it must be difficult. You got to be more careful, and it's not acceptable, especially with the lockdown. It's simple. Just chill at home. It's not asking you to run a marathon, but I don't know how my mindset would be because it's a different game now. And I don't think players are as strong-minded as they were. So if they do a lot of stupid things, considering you can't go anywhere without someone seeing you or someone picking up on the phone, and you're still doing it, and you think you're going to get away with it, especially being a big player like that.
Yeah.
England International, Man City, has won the Premier League. Every household in the country knows who you are.
But so, if we're saying that this is we keep saying unprecedented times, but this is already a very traumatic scenario. You can't see loved ones, you can't go places, your whole routine's being chopped to bits. Nobody is going to be coping well in this scenario. No. What's this immediate assumption that footballers just should be, or I don't know, rich people should just be doing very well? Isn't it harder if you're well-known, famous, can't hide? I can go to the shop, I can go for a walk, and nobody gives two tosses. But if he steps out of his house, immediately someone's taking a picture, waiting to make a story out of it. Isn't that pressure worse or harder?
Because they have to think about that every day. Every step they move, every move they make, they have to think about it. Where they go, like you said, you can't go to the shop, so without someone recognizing or seeing. So I don't know. It's something that's never bothered me. Like my character's not. I want to be seen, or if anyone sees it, I don't really care. I just go on about my business. But with him, for him to put that statement out, it's really affecting him because you understand. So, but what he did is wrong. He did bring on to himself really. So I don't know. I've not really had a chance to think about the situation. I'm just hoping for this to all be over anytime soon.
I'll caveat my next comment by saying that none of us know what is happening in the man's house. So it's very difficult to make an opinion on someone based on what you see on the outside when you just don't know what's happening in those big four walls of the houses I'm sure that he's in. But he did do wrong. We are all struggling, as you mentioned, Marvin. Everyone's finding it difficult. And I accept your point that when he goes to do the shopping, Tesco's, he's getting photographed, he's getting papped, he's getting harassed. And that on a daily basis, Leroy will know more than all of us, I'm sure takes its toll, let alone if you're an England international playing for the Premier League champions. So I understand that. And I do have sympathy in that sense. But he has done wrong. And I think that to try and flip it and say the media are hounding me and I kind of got the sense from what the letter that he put out, that the media was somehow at the root of why he's feeling crappy. And I think as brutal as this might sound, and I do have a bit of sympathy, when you're a Premier League international footballer, that comes with the territory. Now, there's a separate conversation to have around why we are celeb focused and why we're so obsessed with harassing people who are just men and women who kick a ball around. That's a separate conversation that needs to be had. But you know that as a footballer, there's going to come with those difficulties. And what I will say to kind of wrap is that someone should keep an eye on him. Because I don't know him, I've not heard from him doing interviews, but the sense of that letter, I didn't like it. And I feared for him.
I didn't like it either, I'll be honest with you.
He's actually looking after him in terms of his management, because again, if you are a Premier League footballer or a celebrity or whatever, you know that people are going to watch your every move, especially at times like this. News is low, everything's about the pandemic, everyone kind of wants something different to tune into. So I'd like to know who's actually advising him and looking after him. The way I felt about Kyle Walker and his whatever transgressions or just flouting the rules. Okay, I take back what I said about the party, but flouting.
Everyone jumps to it, innit?
I know. I was just joking. The situation in Turkey is a lot stricter. So whenever I leave the house, I have a mask and I have gloves. Seriously, that's how serious it is. There are rules in place. I think it's eased up a bit now. But if you're under the age of 20, you're not allowed to leave the house. If you're over the age of 65, you're not allowed to leave. If you're in between those ages, you are you are an essential worker, then you carry on as normal. Everybody stays at home. and works from home, or goes to the shop. But again, you have your mask and you have your gloves. I think the problem in the UK, from what I've seen, is that no one knows the rules. No one knows.
Take up, please.
I mean, obviously, stay at home, but they haven't said you've got to wear gloves, you've got to wear masks, you've got to, maybe that's why people are doing the Congo in the streets. They're thinking, well, if we just, stay 1 meter apart, then everything will be fine. It's quite confusing. That's what I gathered. And I would assume that's the same for Kyle as well, because he's a guy, he's a man. Forget about the Premier League player or the title. He's still a person.
Yeah, I just think there's been the dialogue that we have around people in general now has been completely reduced to the lowest level anyway. And I think nobody really gets a pass or any form of understanding. So the way we talk about in this room, we may have compassion to quite a high level, and then the next layer out, it's kind of a bit more flippant. By the time you get to people who you only know of online or on TV, then you just don't care, and actually you just become quite aggressive towards him. Once I retweeted his letter and just said, hold your head, a couple of people were messaging me being like, you're just trying to get in his ass and you're just a fanboy. And I was just like, he's a human. He's a human being. He's a father. So
wear the title and the prestige and the money, and this is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, the assumption that if you are earning a lot more money, you must be a lot happier or you have it a lot easier. In some respects, yes, but this pandemic has reduced everybody.
Everybody's on the same level.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Do the same thing.
Sorry, are we though? Sorry to push back on that. Are we? Okay. I think.
Yeah.
Jordan's privileged. Tell us about your privilege.
Yeah. Listen, I've got a 6-bedroom mansion here, so I can walk around and I've got a garden. Some people ain't got that.
Yeah. True. You're right.
You can have whatever you want. You can have whatever money you have, but you can't travel. Like I know, I'm saving right now. If I had, the freedom to do it, I would travel. I would get on the plane right now and go to another country, but I can't because of this pandemic. Everybody is under the same rules.
The rules are the same for everyone at the moment.
But I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, I know.
All right, cool.
Yeah, go on, Jordan. I know you want to get it out. Go on.
No, I'm just saying. Show us the rest of your house, Jordan.
I don't want to make you hate me and all that stuff. Let me just hold it down and I'm a humble guy. But my only kind of interjection was the fact that I think that while yes we are under the same rules, I think that the single dad in a 1-bedroom house with no rooms is more likely to be
going
struggling
insane
than the person who's got 2 parents with 5 bedrooms, a garden, and all the amenities. Do you know what I mean? So we're not all quite, but I get your point.
All right, no need to get personal.
I know. My kid's next door. I ain't got no one looking after him. Hope he stays asleep. Just to wrap. Okay, so I've always wanted to do this, okay? And I used to do this. So in FIFA 98, I think you could create your own England squad. And I tried to make an England squad out of pure black players. And it was tough, but we did it. Joe Chum had to start up front.
Oh, wow.
it was tough. We're just going to go for a front three, all-time Premier League black front three. Who are you going for? I feel like I want to start, but I don't want to ruin it and inspire anybody's thoughts. I want original thoughts, and I'll go last.
Ian Wright.
Definitely, yeah, cool.
Andy Cole.
Interesting. Okay.
And oh god, no, I can't come up with third. I can't. I just think those 2.
That's pretty terrible. You can't come up with 3 black men to set up front from the Premier League history.
No. Hold on. This is very bad.
Premier League history. Oh
yeah.
I just meant 3 black players.
No.
Nah, come on. We're more global than that. We're broader than that. But you got Dion Dublin. You got Dwight York, Stan Collymore, Les Ferdinand.
England. Oh no. You're saying for
Premier League.
Just Premier League.
Someone tried to debate Luis Suarez to me the other day. I was like, that would be a weird.
Dwight York because you said England. I thought you were just anyway. My bad.
I was going to say Sancho, but he's never played. Well, he was at Man City, but I don't think he actually played in the
Premier League. He didn't play.
You got Rashford, you got Martial, you got Thierry
Henry. Huh? Hang on a minute. We said
English. Sorry, in the English Premier League. Sorry.
Ian Wright, Thierry Henry, Andy Cole.
But they're not English. He's not English.
No. I didn't say English. I said I used to do this when I was for England. But in the Premier League, you got to listen to the compound questioning, guys. Are you guys broadcasting?
Are you journalists or what?
That's easy then.
Come on, give it to me.
England.
No.
Now you said Thierry Henry. I'd say Thierry.
Yeah, Henry, Wright, and Sterling.
Sterling ahead of Andy Cole.
Yeah, for a front three, you need a wide man.
No,
he's going tactics.
Yeah.
You see, he's getting deep now. He's thinking about formations.
Yeah.
What are your three, Leroy?
We're just the best three I can think of. The best three I'm thinking of is Ian Wright, my hero, Thierry Henry, Andy Cole.
Yeah.
Simple. Goals.
I like Dwight York, and I also like Les Ferdinand. They like Les Ferdinand at Newcastle for me was just next level. But I have to accept those are the three for me.